Hello. Okay, so where do we begin? Oh, I'm already like, ugh, I'm sick. I've been sick for the past like week and a half-ish. So our video's late, which I wasn't super, oh my God, I need to like, we're starting with this, right? So I need to like, I just took a cough drop before this too to hopefully help, but we need to like be very close, and I'm gonna probably have to lower my voice. It's a little hard to do, right? Because we are so high energy, so I have a tendency to just like project without meaning to. Yes, I don't know how this is gonna go, but I did just stop at the store and get some cough drops after my housemate suggested earlier this week. She was like, have you thought about like getting any sort of like medicine? And I did not, because we don't get sick too often. But this one's been lingering. So we had a little bit of a like upper respiratory infection outbreak at work about like a month and a half, 2 months ago or so. And we've managed to avoid it up until a point, and then we got it, and I was like, So yeah, the positive is we got to be off of work. The fireplace just kicked on. It's warming up our back. We just came back inside from being out for a little bit running some errands. So yeah, I got to be off work for 6 days in a row the other week, which was really nice. It gave us time to God, there it goes. Shit. I was really hoping I could get through this without coughing. Again, this is why I was like, I finished the note for this video last week while I was sick, so we've been prepared, but then I was like really in the midst of it where I was like all congested, and again, a lot of coughing, like can barely breathe, talk, laugh, which I do a lot of, right, without coughing. So I was like, can I even get through a video? Well, we're testing it out now. So I don't believe I'm contagious anymore, but we're still like have the lingering effects. So yes. So like I said, we just had a cough drop. I'm trying to keep my voice low. I don't know how this is gonna work out, if this is even gonna work. But yeah, we're gonna try. So but it like everything triggers it. So we've been trying to like not talk, but if we just slow down, calm down. Especially after I was just at the park, again, going on a little walk, listening to like, the really hype music. Oh, so okay, so that was the other thing. While I had the time off work and I needed things to like do to keep myself busy when I was like isolated inside, I decided to go through a bunch of my old playlists and other like things that I've made and like worked on online and sort through them. So one of them was our cunty playlist, like all of the like high energy, like fast paced, fun, dance, club kind of music, hyper pop, UKG, funk, just like all kinds of stuff like that, right? That we like to listen to a lot for like when we're going on walks or when we're working out or just like to feel good. So we went through that playlist, and we're still kind of like working on it, because when I sorted out my playlists years ago, we sometimes like mix match, like crisscross the lines in some of them. So I have a bunch of songs that belong in other playlists, and that one that we've been trying to like get out. Yeah, but we've updated it so that we can share it publicly, and we're planning on doing that with a bunch of our other playlists as well. So we've been working on that while we've been sick here, giving us quiet work to do, which was nice and fun. Yeah. So we've been back to work this week, and now, yeah, like I said, we're gonna try and get through this video here as best as we can. It's much quieter than usual, but I'm like, we're struggling. Okay, it's like a tickle in my throat. I was really hoping the cough drop might do something, but it's not going away. So let's just, again, very quietly, let's try and go through this. Okay, so, and funny, right, how with this lunar eclipse in Virgo, and Virgo's association with the 6th house, which involves things like work and health and pets or small animals. And so it's funny that right around this time, right, like our health would get hit, we would get sick as we're like needing to talk about these things. Yeah, so there's a lot we could talk about. Let's just, it's the energy, you could say. Let's get into it. So Oh dear. Yeah. And I didn't write as much personal things on this one because I wasn't sure how this would go, if we would be able to even speak. But again, we'll see. We're just gonna go with the flow, see how it feels, if we can manage to get through this. I think we can. I just have to like tone it down with my voice. Okay. Can you even hear this? I don't know. Let's go. So yes, this was on, what day is it today? Friday? Was it, so what, Tuesday was the eclipse, I think? Was that it? Yeah, and at the time that I'm making this video, then we're going over our notes, the energies have already like shifted. So some of the things we talk about have already changed, but let's just go into it. So yes, Virgo is a mutable earth sign ruled by Mercury, occupying the 6th house, representing our karma associated with our routines and health, including things like our daily routines, mind-body relationship, giving, receiving, balance, vitality, physical and inner strength, spiritual fitness, endurance, perseverance, resilience, stress, inner conflict, chronic illness, disease. Our service, including things like work, duties, charity, courage, humility, discipline, devotion, selfless acts, self-sacrifice, and discipline, compassion, balance. And our debt, including things like the law, finance, loans, pressure, hardship, crisis, disputes, burdens, open enemies, mental conflict, emotional memories, unresolved patterns, past and or current life karmic debts. I feel like this is kind of like cutting off my head. Again, I was like, we need this to be close so that you can hear me, but I don't know, this angle's working. Also, you can see our little, one of our umbrellas. We have several of them, but we brought the one inside. This is the big boy. Yeah, because we have like a cute little colorful designed one in our car that's like portable to go, but then we brought in the big bad here. So when we're taking walks around here, especially now that spring's coming and it's raining a lot more, and we've been spending a lot more time outside already, and yeah, so we need that so that we can still get our walks in the rain, get those negative ions. Okay. Yes. So the sun recently entered Pisces the day after the last eclipse, which brings us into the last sign of the astrological year before the upcoming spring equinox in the coming weeks, beginning another cycle and year anew. Mars just joined the sun, North Node, Mercury, and Venus in Pisces, forming another stellium before Venus exits to join Neptune, Saturn, and Chiron in Aries. And that's one of the things that just changed. I think I got the notification for Venus last night. Just went into Aries. And so we have a fresh energy with that, you know, all things having to do with love and pleasure and romance in Aries now. Another fire sign, from water to fire, and also Pisces being at the end of the cycle to Aries beginning anew with Venus. So I'm like, excited. Yes, we love that Venus energy, being a Venus dominant person. Okay, the intense focus or concentration of these stelliums and eclipse energies can assist us with looking at these particular areas, the karma or karmic lessons associated with them, and how they are at play in both our lives as well as the collective conscious. Okay. Yes. Then we'll get into the attributes here. So we've got light attributes of Virgo, right? That's what we're talking about. Maybe a check. I haven't looked at our notes since the other week when we finished writing it. So I think over the weekend, maybe when I was preparing, I was hoping to be able to film the video then. But so, you know, we're not as freshened up as we usually are. But here we go. Let's see. Okay, yeah. Light attributes of Virgo. We've got analytical, endearing, meticulous, detailed, industrious, efficient, methodical, practical, organized, reliable, dependable, self-sufficient, compassionate, purposeful, self-aware, measured, ambitious, observant, discerning, simple, composed, devoted. And then for the shadow traits of Virgo, we have shy, critical, perfectionistic, detached, judgmental, defiant, aloof, pedantic, neurotic, pessimistic, self-sacrificing, worrying, defensive, ruminative, overworking, hypercritical, stubborn, inflexible, narrow-minded, anxious, unrelenting, and indifferent. Okay, and then we'll get into the, well, I'm like, do I want to talk about that? Again, I'm like, my voice. Ooh, okay. No, no, we're gonna keep going. Try and get through this as best as we can. I don't even know if you can hear me still, especially with the fireplace. Oh, it works. Okay. So we split this into 3 sections again, right? Based off the karmas. So we have health, service, and debt. Save that debt for last, because I know people aren't going to want to, think about that very much. So, but that's like, these are all important, but that one's a little beefier, meatier with things to think about. But beginning with health here, because our health is such a foundation for so much of who we are and what we do with our lives and in the world. So we put that first, and then our service from that place, right? From a healthy state of mind and spirit and heart, then we are able to serve and give to others. And then from that place, we can better address our debts. Okay, so for health, what routine or ritualistic practices do I partake in that contribute to my health and well-being? Are there any practices I would like to adopt or experiment with? In what ways am I able to connect more deeply within my own heart, mind, and body? What are some of the things that keep me feeling disconnected? How am I able to balance giving to and nurturing myself whilst also giving to others? In what ways am I able to practice receiving more from myself and others? Okay. There are some things coming to mind that I could share that I didn't write about, but I guess one of the things that I was thinking about as I was writing this, and then just different things that we think about regularly anyways, is, and I don't know how other people look at this, but I've kind of viewed my relationship with my own health and my own body, both, again, in heart, mind, and spirit, not just the physical body, but what makes up the entirety of our body. I've looked at it kind of experimentally. So since I was young, and especially since I, became independent and was out in the world on my own and was able to make more decisions for myself and choose, the path that I wanted to take and whatnot, we've really experimented with a lot of things with our health. And I still do. So more recently, in the last few months or so, we adjusted some of our supplements because I noticed some of the more negative effects some of them were having on me. I was I see stuff, I'm oh, let me try that, and then my skin starts acting up, and I was I was literally shedding for a while. Yeah, our skin was getting really super dry, and we even used oil and certain products on our skin, and it was nothing was helping it. We were shedding like a snake. And I'm you're the snake for real. But it had to do with the stuff that we were putting into our body. So I stopped taking some of the supplements that I was, and right away it got much, much better, right? And then I added some new ones. So we're trying 2 new supplements right now. Yeah. One of them is actually a caffeine supplement with L-theanine in it. That I like so far. I like the way that it makes me feel much better than drinking coffee, because we don't tend to, other than we go through phases with things, we did in the fall time, I think. But we don't like the way that makes us feel on a regular basis, very anxious and jittery and stuff. So the supplement is a much more calming kind of effect that we like, and sustainable throughout the day. So that's one of the things that we're trying right now. And I recently changed my diet again. I tend to eat a very limited diet, and this is one of the things that I saw the nutritionist for about a year and a half, 2 years ago, in the midst of my return, when I was really addressing these areas of my life, and we were talking about how this correlates to being on the spectrum or being neurodivergent, and everyone has different experiences with these things, but I really fit the criteria, or do not break the mold, or am the same as many people in that way, where it's living by the beige diet, or being too restrictive with food and the things that I put into my body. So we were working on that, and yeah, because there's the texture thing, and we like consistency with what we eat and all that stuff. So it's one less thing that we have to stress about on a daily basis. So anytime we do make changes, it can throw us off a little bit with a lot of things in life. But yeah, so we altered our diet again recently, and because for a long time, for years, I've been eating, one of my staple foods was tofu, and not even necessarily with anything on it. Like sometimes I would put like a little bit of salt, or like I would dip it in some like aminos or something. For the most part, like we were eating like just plain tofu for like years as one of our staple items. And it's just like, so it's so funny, like whenever people would like ask me, or I tell them that, just like, what do you mean you just like for breakfast, like before I go to work, like that's what I would eat. I would have like tofu. I was just like, what? So yeah, because we would try it with like rice and like other things, and I just was like, I don't really like rice, so like I don't really want to eat it. But the nutrition is like, but you have to like eat like a whole diet eating like all these different things. So I don't know, it's still an ongoing experiment for us, but we try our best to hit like our macros on a day-to-day basis, and you know, any sort of micronutrients we can get is great, but you know, it's not like we do our best with it. So we've come a long way. But yes, continual experimentation with things like that. Yeah. Yeah. But right now it's mainly like we have our favorite granola that we eat, which is by Purely Elizabeth. I like her granolas. And then we'll have that with some just like regular old like nuts and seeds. And so we've been having that as like our first meal in the morning, like breakfast before we go to work. And then it's also our snack, like the same thing in like a little bag. It's our snack in the middle of the day. And some days that's all we eat. I feel weird talking about this, but this is like, you know, we're talking about health things, so like let's just get it out there, right? Like this is a bit of what we do, right? And then we also have like the little like to go bars. My local grocery store that I really like, that I've been going to for many years, they make their own brand of a lot of major brand, like off-brand stuff or whatever that's cheaper. Is that how you say it? So I utilize that, you know, when I can. And so they make some of those too that are like made similar to like the Lara bars, which I used to eat, but they make their own. So it has like dates in it. So we're getting a little bit of fruit at least. And sometimes we'll get like the nuts mix with fruit in it, dried fruit, but then we usually don't like that too because of the texture thing. So yeah, and there's too much discrepancy. There's too much like change with fresh fruits and vegetables for us, where it's like you can't always trust the quality. Yeah, but there are certain things we really do like, and when we go and we see that it like looks good and it's in season and it's in stock and it looks okay, then we'll get it. Yeah. Yeah, we like carrots, we like snap peas. Those are like pretty consistent if we can get them like right. And yeah, I love berries. Blackberries are my favorite, but again, like seasonal. I love Rainier cherries in the summer. Yes, that's like one of my favorites. But you know, for the most part, we generally eat like that very stereotypical like beige diet. Yeah. Yeah, we were doing an oatmeal for a while with like a little bit of like peanut butter to add a little extra protein and fat, but we got sick of that, and it's just, I don't know. We go through these like cycles and phases with things, not only with our food and our diet, but a lot of things, right? Like our skincare, our supplements, our activities that we like to do, like physical activity. But again, we've found things that work for us that we like and enjoy, and we do pretty consistently. Like I love to go on walks outdoors like as much as I can, especially when the weather is nice. So that's like a very consistent thing that we can do, and especially finding places, you know, where we feel comfortable doing that. And I mentioned in my one short recently, as I spent one of the last like snow days at the one park that I recently found. It was through someone that I met through work just within the past like few months or so, who's lived here a lot longer than me. They were telling me about this local park that's by the creek. And yeah, it was funny because I found it, and then when I saw them again, I told them about going over there, and they were like, oh, what's the name of it? And it didn't register to them, and then they realized that there's actually like two right next to each other, so I went to the wrong one. But I like the one that I found better than the one that he said, because I ended up going back and looking at the other one. Yeah, but the one that I go to now that's closer by my home, it's more tucked away. It's like at a dead end street, and they have swings there, so that's been really nice too. to go like on days like today when it's a school day and like there aren't going to be like many people there, especially with like the weather, right? Because I know when it gets warmer there'll be more people, but we've really been taking advantage of the time that we have like the place to ourselves. So yeah, and just the like being able to move my body in those different ways. I swing, I mean, if I could have a swing indoors, the first place my mind goes is crazy. Like, what kind of swing? What kind of, but it's just like a different, sensation. I don't know. I really enjoy it. There's something about, I was thinking about this today when I was swinging. I was like, there's something really pleasurable just when you like hop up on the swing, especially like when it's like higher on the ground, because they have those swings that sit really low, but these ones are not like that. They're like you have to literally like hop up onto it. I mean, I'm just short too, but and then as soon as I sit on it, right, it's like it just relieves the weight of my fat ass. Like the swing is suddenly bearing the weight of my fat ass for me, so I don't have to keep carrying it around in those moments. And there's something so lovely about that, right? And then the way the butt just kind of like muffins over the swing, you kind of like poke at it and you're just like, I don't know. I love it. I love a good swing. So we're having our fun with that too, which is, lovely. Yeah, and there's just, all sorts of, stimulating activities that we're able to partake in, that contribute to our health in different ways. Yeah. So that's been making me happy and been fun. Yeah. Yeah, and then the wildlife there too. Like just today we saw there were a few turkey vultures that were circling and even like came down by the trail. The typical like all kinds of like birds and squirrels and stuff like that. Yeah. And I just love being around that. Yeah. And the other day, literally yesterday, Thursday morning, when I went to my old stomping grounds at the other creek that I like to go to, that's near my job, that I don't go to as much anymore because it's, further away from where I live. But I went there yesterday morning before work, and I was surprised that early in the morning, because it was like around 8:30 in the morning or something. And I saw an eagle fly down the center of the creek. And we've seen both, I don't know if I've seen the eagle do it yet. I've seen other birds of prey and like the heron. There's like a heron pair that I've seen over there for years. And I've seen them do that. But I think that was the first time that I've seen an eagle fly down the center of the creek like that. And especially so early in the morning, because they tend to come out in the midday, in the afternoon, like at the height of the sun, to like just like fly around in the sky, yeah, so I was really surprised to see him that early, but and land up in the tree, and then I like couldn't see it anymore. And as I was walking, I was like scanning, but I'm kind of blind without my glasses. So I was really like squinting, trying to find it in the trees. And I was like, I know that it sees me, but I don't see it. And that's, a bird of prey for you, right? Like immaculate eyesight compared to my blind ass. But that was, fun for a little something the other day too, then. Yeah. And then we saw the ducks and the geese over there. And they're starting to get feisty and rowdy already too, because, spring is upon us. So, it's that time of year. The birds and the bees, they're getting crazy. And if you know anything about ducks too, and the mating habits of ducks, they get a little wild. It's a little horrific. So, just we were talking about health, and then we just started. Okay, let's keep going. I'm getting off into a tangent here. Reel it back in. So, I think we're doing good though, right? We've made it this far into the video without coughing too much. Okay, just keep our voice low. Can you hear me? I hope so. Okay, service is next. What acts of service do I provide within my daily life, work, and communities? How fulfilling are these opportunities to me, and what areas would I find more fulfillment in dedicating myself to? What does a harmonious experience in service to self and others in the world look like for me personally? And what areas of my life do I tend to sacrifice or neglect myself in pursuit of service? How am I able to balance these to achieve greater fulfillment in all areas? How do I balance my discipline with my compassion, both internally and externally? Where in my life am I able to pause, reflect, and redirect my focus to harmonize my internal self or heart, mind, body connection with the external world? Let me see here. I mean, again, as I have written these are a lot of questions that I've asked myself in the past. And as we're like going through these, cycles, it's a good, reminder for me personally, and for people who, haven't perhaps questioned some of these things for themselves before. It's a good place to start. But then also, like, as we go on throughout life and things continually change, we're able to like reflect on these and then see like how far we've come, like what's changed, how have I grown, what do I still need to work on. I think with some of this service related, again, I think about how much, I've struggled with all of these things, to varying degrees, but again, going back to my return and like how impactful that time was for our life, and reflecting on a lot of these areas. This was another area that I struggled with for a long time. And part of this is related to like our Pisces, right? As we're in the midst of Pisces season here. Yeah, there's been a lot of like remembering and reflecting on some of that stuff coming up. Yeah, ways in the past that I put myself second, or I put myself last even, because there are so many people in the world around us at all times that, have needs. And I just, in the past, it was hard for me because especially when I was in certain circles or around certain people in my life, like including my old church even, because I think that's another thing, that I saw a lot in not only my main church, but other, places that I've been in, like those kinds of circles, more religious Christian circles. There's a lot of like self-sacrifice. And I don't know that it's always necessarily super conscious in people, or that they're aware that they're doing that, or they understand really why. But I think a lot of it isn't really healthy. And then there's like a lot of conflicting messages too, some gaslighting even. And it's just, I think for me personally, right, like after leaving the church that I was in, and just like changing not only like a lot of my relationships, but then like internally the way that I viewed myself and the world around me, my relationships, my relationship with God above all, right? And looking at like what I really wanted for my life personally outside of service, right? Like, not because I didn't necessarily want a life that was just all service and like giving myself away and doing things for people, as much as that is a part of who we are, and we like to help people. It really isn't healthy to be doing that at our own expense. And again, I think one of the things that I saw a lot and was being modeled to me, and because it was modeled to me, I saw it being modeled to other people too. And I had a problem with that, when I looked at people younger than me, both within the church and outside, some of the kids, again, like in my life. And there was, what is the word? My one friend brings this up all the time. What is it? It's cognitive dissonance, right? When we're like doing something, or we're doing things that we don't really fully understand, we don't really want to be doing them, but we don't really know how to change it. And so this cognitive dissonance comes in, right? And it's associated with our ego, I feel like, in some ways, right? Where we go into this protective mode, this protective state, because we don't really understand or grasp something on a deeper level. Even if we have knowledge of it, we haven't quite turned it into, actionable wisdom yet. So yeah, I think there's a lot of that, in the church, in religious circles, and in people's belief systems in general, regardless of what faith that's attributed to, or even if there's no faith attached to it at all, right? Like just the way that we view ourselves, other people in the world around us, it affects everything. Yeah. And again, going back to like service being our second section here, our health, how well we take care of ourselves really does define, the health of our relationships then as well, and the state of our relationship with the world around us. So we've experienced a much more positive change in my life personally by separating myself from people and places and things that felt limiting and restricting and depressing is the word that comes to my mind. Like just, I don't know. I could think of a lot of things to describe, but I just like focusing more on, what we know personally and believe to be true and what we want for our lives. And and how love plays such a big role in that, internally, right? Love for the self, love for God, love for the people around us, right? And again, I think of this from more of like a compassionate response. And again, it's something that I couldn't make sense of for a long time, because I was like, how can, I be surrounded by so many people in my life, or even just in the world in general? I'm looking around me and I'm seeing, I'm like, I don't know if we want to get into this right now. This is a bit amusing, but this is some of the stuff that we've been thinking about, right? Like our own relationship with love, what it means to us, and how that differs from what we've seen or been shown, our experience with it. And some of our studies in regards to this too, like for me personally, looking at my 6 and 12 axis in my chart, the importance of that, because it is our Pluto and our Venus, which is where we're dominant. So it's our Pluto and Scorpio in our 6th house, and then our Venus and Taurus in our 12th house. These are very important, for me personally. And we've just been reflecting on a lot of that, yeah. And having Venus in the 12th house, for example, Venus and Taurus in the 12th, there are different, opinions on what it means to have certain planets in certain houses. But there's like one school of thought in regards to like having planets in the 12th house, because that is typically associated with Pisces. It's showing the end of the soul's path, as far as like the soul's journey throughout your chart, how it's reflected, and attaining moksha, or attaining enlightenment, right? Having a planet in the 12th house can be correlated to having mastered the lessons like leading up to having it in every other place in your chart. We don't know these things for sure, right? We can't necessarily prove them, but it's a school of thought. It's one way of looking at it. And as I've reflected on this, I've been thinking about it, right? Like why my life has been the way it is, right? And my experiences, and why we think the way we do about like love in particular, right? Yeah, I'm like, do we really need to get into this? Right? I wasn't planning it, but it's just where we're led. So we'll talk about it a little bit, but then we're going to carry on here. Yeah, so because for me personally, right, and I've touched on this in some other videos now, and we will get into more depth in the future, how the way I was raised, it wasn't the most loving environment. And so it didn't make sense to me at a young age why I would think and feel the way that I did about love because of the way I was raised, right? Like it didn't really add up or make sense, especially like looking at the people around me, the world around me. I didn't understand why so many people viewed love so differently than I did. And again, this is like something we're still kind of working out and figuring out for ourselves. But, learning about some of this stuff has helped us in understanding ourselves better, and therefore other people. Yeah, but like I've mentioned before, like I decided at a young age, like I felt within my own heart, right? And like, even though I didn't like have the language at the time, or I didn't know what chakras were, the energy centers and stuff, I just had like feeling. I just had like how I felt within my own body. And I felt very connected with my own heart space when I was young, and very protective over it. And again, like our Venus could have a lot to do with this. And so despite my upbringing, and despite like the trauma that I experienced, and the way that I've been treated poorly by certain people in my life in the past, and even to this day, like when people still try to like come for me, the way that like we handle these things, right? It's always so interesting to me. But it's just like the way that we have experienced love since I was young has been very tied to God, to, you know, and again, like whatever anyone believes that to be, but it's just like this higher knowing or understanding that like beyond myself and beyond the people around me who love me, you know, that the love that I've experienced in the world from other people is nothing compared to the love that I feel inside of myself, I guess is the, you know, best way that I could describe that. And again, like it's just something that I felt when I was young, but I couldn't necessarily like put words to, but it helped lead and guide me. And, you know, it is so much of, you know, who we are and what we do and why we're here now. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know really how to talk about all these things. It just is like our experience, but yeah, that's just, you know, and so this goes into service, right? Because so much of what I've seen since I was young, you know, both within my family and then out in the world, is the way that like love and service ties into each other or works in tandem, hand in hand here, where there's so much like self-sacrificing, where people get into relationships, they get into marriages, they start families, they, you know, get into social circles or friendships even, right? I've had like friendships in the past that were like more like codependent or unhealthy dynamics too, and I've had like healthier ones since then to compare, and it's been wild to see, you know, like, oh, this is what I've always wanted, and I thought this was that, but actually it's not that. Like that was not the thing, but it was similar in some ways, right? Even down, like, it's so funny to me how like even some things down to like the name, like I think of like an old like best friend of mine, you know, compared to like someone newer in my life, and how like they share like very similar qualities, right? But it's like very different in the way that I relate, you know, to the both of them, and their names are the same, and they even kind of look similar. It's so weird. It's so weird. I don't know. We just, yeah, it's very weird, interesting, strange how some of these things, you know, happen, work out in life. But I don't know. we're just going through. We're just living it. This is our life. This is what's happening. But yeah, it's been wild to reflect on that. Right? Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, just I think when so much of what we see is self-sacrificial love, where people love from a place of lack within themselves, or from trying to fill a void or trying to meet a need within themselves that they struggle to meet for themselves. When people approach love and relationships and service in the world from that place in that way, and so it's kind of like likened to that like pouring from an empty cup, people say, right? Where you're like constantly like dishing out, or you're giving from a place that you don't really have yourself, and so you're just like draining yourself. You know, I've experienced that, and you know, seeing like that was what was modeled to me, and so many people, I didn't have really like healthy examples close by. But then, you know, because we are like such a curious person, and I love to like learn, continually like reading things and studying different things. And so like I had found, you know, people, whether that's like through reading authors that I like, or through the internet, you know, like online, yeah, and even, you know, then leading into meeting people both online and then in real life who have a healthier mindset, and who don't love in that way. They love from a more whole place that's not self-sacrificing. And yeah, it's just it's beautiful, and it's encouraging, and I'm really glad, really thankful again, and excited to continue with that and more. Yes, so that's on that. That's on period. That's on that. Let's keep going. Debt. Okay, this one's a little funky. Look at us, we already made it almost 40 minutes in. Okay, not a cough in sight. Except for in the beginning, we were struggling a bit, but I think we got the quiet voice down. Okay, debt. Dun dun dun. What does my relationship with my boundaries around debt and or karmic responsibility look like? In what areas of my life do I currently believe that I owe something to a person, place, or thing? Where am I focusing my attention and or giving of myself, my resources, like my energy, time, money, etc., to inequitable dynamics? In what ways may I be able to shift my mindset to consider or reconsider the value within my current dynamics? Am I able to identify which emotional memories and or unresolved patterns contribute to my experiences with debt and karmic responsibility in the past and present? How has my mindset shifted around the concept of responsibility and or debt from both past and current experiences? In what ways am I able to achieve more equitable exchanges with those around me presently as well as in the future? In what ways am I able to ease the burdens of myself and others without becoming overly responsible or taking on the debts of those which are not mine to observe and or pay? Yeah. Yeah. Again, so much of this is what we were reflecting on during our return, and then, making choices and changes in our lives that reflect some of these things. Yeah, and I think, what we talked about here at the end with service in regards to like our view and relationship with love within ourselves, with God, or just faith in general, with other people, and then with the world, is very foundational for these other things. Yeah, and I wanted to talk a little bit more about the like spiritual aspect or higher aspect of debt, beyond just like a physical, material realm perspective, talking about like financial debt. There are plenty of other ways that we can live indebted to a person, place, or thing, right, in our life without really understanding that that's what we're doing. Yeah, in the ways that we continue to give of ourselves, or even if it's not like that we're physically giving them something, even if it's simply our attention, our focus on something,